Hey everyone, I'm Fred Ranger and I hope you're doing good. I'm coming to you today from a beautiful location on the island of Mallorca. It's called Sóller, and this is a little town that's so photogenic. And I want to say this location that we're staying in for 4 days, it's called the Canai location, and it's such a beautiful place. I mean, this place is 300 years old, and of course over time it's a family business, and over time they turned it into a hotel, and now we have probably one of the best little houses that's on the site, and you've got a beautiful view on the mountain. It's surrounded by mountain here. So I'll put the link down below because it's worth looking into. Dominique's place. This is the name of the owner. His daughter is actually working here. Very nice staff, and also, again, probably one of the best location, most scenic location that I've been to in the world. And I want to thank my girlfriend Vicky, who's becoming kind of an expert in finding those hidden gems around the world. So happy that we are here. But we started our trip in Barcelona, and this was for 4 days in the city, in the bustling city of Barcelona. And we got a chance to capture a lot of cool stuff that we wanted to capture. And then we made our way to Marivent. This is the little location on the island. So we took a flight from Barcelona to the island of Mallorca. So started in Marivent, so we had some cool shot taken there. And then we made our way through Calador, which is beautiful, beautiful location on the island. A lot of little beaches that you can find. And ultimately ended up here in Sóller, which is probably my favorite spot on the island so far. But to capture all of this beautifulness around us, we had to bring some cameras, I would say, with a nest. We have a lot of cameras, maybe too many cameras, but I want to show you which ones that I use the most, which one that I use the least, because every travel experience is an opportunity to learn more about the type of photographer you are, the type of gear that you use the most, and some of the gear that you might have brought as an overkill, and next time maybe it'll stay home. And I do have some recommendations on that front. So for me, I'm gonna go through my least used camera to the most used camera on this trip. If you follow this channel, I'm pretty sure you know the one that I use the most. But if you aren't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification to get notified when I post videos like this one. So to start with the least used camera, and it's not because it's not a good camera, it's probably one of my favorite camera of all time, but it is the Leica M10R. And I usually pair it with the 50mm Sumilux, which is on the body right now. And I love to have that IDS system little grip here. It makes it a perfect companion when you go out with an intention. And this is my first point about the camera that I use the least on this trip. It is such a great camera, but the range finder patch and the focusing, manual focusing, also, the exposure that's in this camera, it's not perfect. It tends to overexpose or underexposed massively. So you kind of have to know what you're doing and what you're going to be shooting. I know what I'm doing with the camera, but usually when you walk around and you're traveling, you're going to encounter a lot of situations where you don't know what the light will be like, what the scene will be like, and how you're going to be able to capture it. And some of them master this camera. I'm not there yet. I will admit it. I'm still learning every time I use it. I appreciated it on this trip, but maybe next trip, this one stays home in favor of another camera. That's the first one. And by the way, if you want to know what this strap is, this is a Barton 1972. Love these straps. Those are very high quality leather straps, handmade. Second camera that I brought, and this one I did use a lot for obvious reasons, and this is my Leica M6. This is the silver version, and I put some rolls in there, Porto 400, Porto 160, and I really, really dig this setup in travel modes. This is a 35mm, which I think this camera is probably optimized for, right? So 35mm, you see the frame lines very well in the viewfinder. You can see what's coming into the frame and so on. And the pure joy of shooting film when you travel. You're not reviewing your cameras like right away when you take the shot. You actually have to wait for it to come back from the lab, or if you do your own development, cool. You can actually see it revealed to you while you develop it. So really, really like this process. I had an idea that, if I have the M6 and the M10R, this is the best case scenario. Maybe those are the two only cameras that I need when I travel. But I will say this, and I'm sure you want to know which strap this is. This is from my friends at Clever Supply Co. This is the short leash or the short strap, and I really dig it because guess what? I can have this one on my neck and it's hanging right here on the top, not at the bottom, and this one by my side. So I look a bit silly having two cameras and two Leica cameras on my body, but I really like this setup. But why is this not the ideal setup for me? It could have been, and I think there's a lot of people who can pull it off, M10 or M11, M11P and so on, and an M6 or an MP or whatever the other M camera. It takes the same lenses. But here's the thing. I actually really dig a camera since the past 3 years now. I should update my video. I actually made a video about this camera. This is the Leica Q2, and this is my most used camera during this trip. This is the faithful, truthful, reliable Leica Q2, and this is just a pure joy to shoot when you are traveling. Why? Well, I mean, this is 28 millimeters, so you can capture wide scenes, but you're not, you know, restricted by the 28 millimeter. If you want to crop in, there's actually a button right here that allows you to go from 28 to 35, and then you go to 50, and then you go to 75. So I know it's not the same as having a 75 millimeter lens. You don't get the same bokeh, and you do lose some resolution when you use it. But when you're traveling, oh my God, this is such a useful feature. And I thought, you know, I would be using it less than that, but I find myself using it all the time. And even though it's not the final result, because you still capture the 28 millimeters at the end of the day, it's helpful for framing. And when you go to Lightroom, you open your file, it keeps the framing that you decided to. So if you shot it in 75 mil or in 50 mil, you'll get it in Lightroom. But then if you're like, oh my God, I would have loved to be a bit wider, you can go back to the 28 millimeters. So really dig that feature. It's got macro mode, so I mean, there's so many beautiful flowers here. Not that I'm a flower photographer, but hey, I do the occasional shot with this macro mode. It has 47 megapixel. You can crop in for days, decent battery life, and again, it's just a pure joy to have it on you. It's not the lightest setup. This is actually, you know, quite similar to the other ones. It might be a bit lighter, but it's not, you know, X100 type of camera where you don't even feel it when you have it on you. So if you do a hike and so on, it is still doable, but I would say that this is a bit on the heavier side for a point and shoot. But it's my most used camera. I looked at my Lightroom files on my iPad, and by the way, this is a new version for me, so I bought the iPad M4 for photography and for traveling. So if you want a video on that, ask down below or give this video a like. It'll tell me that you like this type of content. So those are the three main cameras that I brought, and I did bring a little hidden gem that I'm starting to love more and more. And this is a camera that I bought probably a year ago, but haven't shot it that much. But on a trip like this, I actually put it in my fanny pack. And this is the Yashica T4. And of course, this is film camera from the 90s. And it's not the best viewfinder, it's not the best at anything, but that lens that's on it, this is a Carl Zeiss lens, it's 35 millimeter. And again, this is the pure joy of just putting a film in it. Right now I have Portra 160 in it, and just the pure joy of putting a film in it, pointing, shooting, voila, you got a nice film photo that's waiting for you in a couple weeks. If film wasn't that expensive, maybe I would switch to film entirely, but there's so much convenience in shooting digital that, you know, this is probably one of the most expensive endeavors when you start buying film, developing it, scanning it, and so on and so forth. So those are the three cameras, man. So this is Leica M10R, really enjoyed using it, but when I had an intention, when I took portraits of Vicky, and I'll throw a couple examples on screen, I was going for that camera. When we were controlling the scenario, not the scenario, but the look and the feel and so on and so forth, M10R was great for that. Then I went to film for capturing city scenes, street photography, a lot of scenery taken with this camera too, 35 millimeter. I also have the 28 millimeter. This is, where is it? Right here, 28 millimeter that I did use. This is the Elmarit, the 2.8. But again, since I had the Leica Q2, with the 28 millimeter, I did not ended up using this one a lot, but I could see myself using a digital and film setup with both 28 millimeters for another trip with the Q2 and the M6. So that's something to consider. The Yashica, as I told you, very useful for point and shoot film, and the Q2, who's my most used camera on the trip. I will show you what Vicky had as a setup because it's an interesting setup too. It's a simpler setup, and sometimes simpler is better. You've got here the Fujifilm X-E4, which is the weapon of choice for Vicky, and she pairs it with a very, very simple setup, which I think it's probably one of the most efficient setup that I've seen yet. So this is the 18 to 55. This is a zoom, allows you to capture from wide to, you know, even tele and kind of portrait lens, but also she has that pancake lens, and this is the 27mm f2.8, and when you put it on there, it's a very, very small setup, and she does have a little grip here on the Fuji X-E4, but man, this is rangefinder style type of camera, a bit like these cameras, and it makes it a very efficient setup with the two lens setup. Put it in a bag and off you go. And the last camera that she uses, this is very nice little Woottencraft pouch that she puts her Leica camera. Yes, there's a lot of Leica cameras on the table. And here's another one. This is the Leica Minilux that she loves to shoot. This is a better build than the Yashica. Two different shooting experience. Results probably similar. This is a 40mm lens though, versus this one's a 35mm. Not that again, it's a huge difference, but this is a very, very good lens from Leica. This is the Leica Elmerit, or Sumerit, should I say. I think it's 2.8 or 2.4. I forgot the exact f-stop, but very useful when you travel to have one digital and one film setup. Other micmacs that I brought, just to let you know, and that I didn't use because it's so sunny here, as you can see, but I did have the SF20 flash for Leica. What else did I have? Let's see here. Oh, I had the Visoflex for the Leica M10R. So this is the little, you know, accessory you put on top to basically convert it to an EVF. Did not end up using it, to be honest. So I'm debating if I should keep this or not. Maybe I will, because it's just a nice accessory to have depending on how you use the camera. But yeah, that's pretty much the cameras that I've brought. Again, this is just the kind of the gear video that I want to get out of the way, because a lot of you guys are interested in learning more about these cameras. I've shot them all, even Vicky's cameras, and she did the same with the Q2 and the M10. So if you have any questions, please ask them down below. If you have questions about an upcoming trip, and maybe you don't make the mistake that we always do with bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cameras. We even have GoPros, and I'm filming this on a DJI Osmo Pocket, so I had to bring the whole kit here. But yeah, ask your questions down below. I'll be happy to go there and answer. And talk to me about your favorite travel setup. This is not a minimal setup, but those cameras are small, so I kind of like the idea of having options, but not having to lug around some big DSLRs. But how about you? Do you prefer one camera, one lens, like I used to do with the X100, and that's it? Or are you more like us and like to have options with film and digital and a couple lenses? Let us know. I've been Fred Ranger. Please be happy, enjoy life, and enjoy traveling with cameras. Cheers.